Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
You're on Global TV Talk Show. This is Ed in San Diego, and with us today is Sergey Gorbatov, who's on assignment based now in Irvine, California, with a large pharmaceutical company, and with a very specific role, which I'll get into in just a moment. And also from New England is Ken Somers, longtime HR executive with global experience, and now an entrepreneur in HR Solutions, Somers HR Solutions. So welcome, Sergey, and welcome, Ken. Hello.
Thank you, Ed.
Great to be here.
Yeah. So the expat survey that you guys were thinking about doing and started out to do, that's still going on, isn't it?
It still goes on, and we are looking forward to its culmination at the end of October. We're actually convening a panel of talent executives in collaboration with Headspring Executive, and we want to reveal those results and discuss them with heads of talent, heads of development, leaders of the HR functions, and get their views on the data, and then take it together and share with the wider community, so that it's not purely quantitative data and looking at the numbers and trying to make sense of the relationships, but also to ground that and position with the comments and the reactions of people from the real world, of people who are facing those problems day to day, and also to compare and contrast as much as possible across the geographies, across companies, across industries. So
right.
I'm very grateful to everyone who responded and to everyone who's helped us with getting the responses, and particularly thanks to you.
Well, we just a PR machine, Sergey, and so thanks for grinding it out. So tell me approximately how many responses. I know it was difficult because you probably had a mixture of service providers who were masquerading as HR people.
I would not. I always assume the best positive antenna. I always try to see the best. So I would not be making assumptions. And I actually was planning to go and dive into the analysis this weekend. So I will have more information just in a week or two.
Well, good. Well, I welcome any information, and I invite you guys to use Global TV Network as a talk show platform when you're ready.
Sergey, I'm just curious. I think I'm familiar with the study, but perhaps for the audience, you could spend a moment just say, what was the objective in conducting the survey? What were you guys hoping to learn?
Yeah, and thanks for bringing it up, Ken. Our question was, if we know that experiences are the most effective and most powerful tool that organizations have at their disposal to develop people, particularly experiences that are challenging, difficult, experiences that push people to go against their grain, against their nature, and the expatriation experiences are particularly effective in building the bench of global leaders. In the period of COVID, when the frontiers shut down, when the companies grounded their expatriates in wherever they were, or quickly repatriated them to their home countries where they could, and all of us know about the horror stories when families were separated, people couldn't travel. That was a very difficult period for many. And now the companies have learned that virtual management is also possible, that you can run a multinational when people work from the comfort of their homes without the necessity of uprooting their family and moving to a different country. And that also has significant savings for the companies because expatriates aren't cheap. So the question that we wanted to answer is, if this trend going to continue? Are we going to see a decline in the number of expatriation? And if so, what impact will it have on the governance structures and on developing the future leaders, developing the leadership bench? And if expatriation is going to be less of an option to develop global leaders, then what? What plans are organizations putting in place to make sure that they can provide a substitute on an alternative solution to build those global leadership skills?
Yeah, okay. Ken, do you want to take it from there? And I've got a question also about the branding. And I know you have a PhD in branding and that kind of approach. So with your particular expertise and background in being an expat in multiple places, where does that go? Ken?
Well, and Sergey, thank you so much for that very lucid explanation of what your objectives were. I'm dying to see the results. I think it's going to be fascinating. As Ed alluded to, I've been an expatriate myself in 6 different countries, but I've also managed teams remotely, and I mean remotely across continents. So I'm particularly excited to see the results of your work. I will say that I think having been an expatriate first makes it easier to manage remotely because you understand where you've been, you understand the people, you've built the relationships. And my fear is that if companies say, hey, we can do this all remotely, that same intimacy of relationships that are developed when you're resident in a foreign country and then try to manage remotely, it'll make it far more difficult. So I'm very eager to see how the participants in your survey are intending to deal with that.
Yeah, and it's a great question that you're asking. So remote management, what makes a great manager who can lead a virtual team? And of course, an expatriation experience could be one, if provided that the person has learned something, because sometimes we send people, we give them an assignment, they come back, absolutely nothing that has been learned or new skills acquired, or the wrong skills acquired. So provided that they've learned something, okay, we can expect them to be better learning managers. Why? Because they have risen to a different level of empathy. They have broader perspectives. They've enriched their repertoire of leadership behaviors. Now, if that is off the table, then what other levers do we have? Can we build those skills using courses? Can we build those skills using different type of experience? Maybe putting people in charge of people who are more senior than themselves. So I can't send you to a different country, but I can put you in charge of a team where everyone is older than you and have more experience than you. Or I can assign you to lead a turnaround. Or I will be shifting you from staff roles to line roles. So we still need to continue offering people the experiences that stretch them and that provide them with different angles to their leadership and to the organizational reality, and making sure that people continue working with different type of people, the diversity in age and gender, in cultural backgrounds, languages, market realities, industries, and so on. And I think that being mindful and intentional there won't fully provide the same complexity and richness of experience as being an expatriate in a different country, but I'm pretty sure we can come close, particularly as the world is becoming more and more global, and the business is no longer contained to one single country.
Well, it's really fascinating.
Absolutely.
That you've done that deep dive, Sergey. Thank you. Ken.
I was just going to say, and Sergey, I agree with you 100%. I think one of the key dependencies that may emerge, and not to take us too far down the rat hole, but I think one of the key dependencies to the approach you outline is a management team or a leadership team that is prepared to make those investments in the coaching and the mentoring of someone to build, as you said, that deeper empathy, the deeper appreciation for the cultural differences, and recognize that as an investment in the growth of that generation of talent.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that will be very important, particularly for companies who are not going fully back to their workplaces and where people will continue working remotely. And in the years of the pandemic, many younger people, or those who are new to the workforce, have joined the organizations who may not have the feel of the culture of the company, who haven't understood yet how the organizations work. They really need the help of others, be it coaches, mentors, peer coaches, buddies. But those relationships are important, and fostering them and providing the right infrastructure for identifying the right people to connect with, and also giving the skills both to the employees and to the people who we want to be helping those employees to develop and grow and integrate in the company, to effectively enable doing so. So we just need to look at this holistically. How do we need to change the structure and the organization? What our policies are like around those connections? So how do we communicate to the employees what good looks like? And how do we empower them, and how do we enable them to go and build those connections and network effectively within and outside the organization?
So special kind of management is required now, because these employees that you're talking about, the younger ones who have yet to step foot in the company, they're high risk then. All the training, all the development, all the planning that senior people like yourself have been doing, it's not out the window yet, is it? But how are you coping with this uncertainty and the vagaries of remote management?
Just like we dealt with it 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, with making plans, in engaging leaders, trying to understand the new realities of the market. The realities have been changing. I remember 1996, McKinsey's paper, The War for Talent. COVID wasn't there, but the economic crisis was. We didn't have remote management, but that's where we started to talk about VUCA. So yes, the specifics and realities were different, but conceptually, probably there are many parallels. Okay, what do you do when you don't know what to do? You place your bets on things that you know won't change. What is it that we know that won't change? We know that people are intrinsically, deeply psychologically motivated by the needs to belong and to succeed. So how can I make people feel that they are appreciated and rewarded, and that they're seen and acknowledged in this virtual world? And how do I enable and empower them to run fast and achieve great results? So if we focus on things that we know are fundamental, we know that they're not going away, because they haven't gone away in the thousands of years of human evolution. Well, I'm pretty sure they're gonna linger for the next decade or so.
Thank you. Good.
Yeah.
Ken.
I was just gonna say, I think Sergey is spot on. The only wrinkle I would offer is that, for the past 20, 40 years, to use your time frame, we have had, for the most part, the luxury of being physically co-located with our people. particularly for new joiners, the next generation of talent. And I do think that the environment we're in and the environment that we are going into, because it will be different, puts an extra level of pressure and responsibility and accountability on the frontline manager, particularly if his or her team is principally remote. And I think that we need to help those frontline managers develop the capabilities to build relationships remotely, to coach remotely, to provide the feedback that's going to be meaningful in terms of people's development. And so I think it puts a whole different dimension of pressure and responsibility on those frontline managers. And we in HR need to help them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And just building on your thought, I would like to ask, well, up until 2019, 2020, up until COVID, were there pockets of industries or organizations or types of people who were already doing that effectively? I know many managers who've never had an office. I know many employees who've, for their entire career and already for 5, 8, 10 years, have been working remotely and quite effectively. The truth is that we haven't seen work for quite some time because we're all knowledge workers. It's intangible. We can't, it's not producing widgets. So we haven't seen work. We haven't seen workers for quite some time. With all the international travel, with all the tools, with this trend towards virtual work. If you look at the findings, there are several, Deloitte, PwC, they were all reporting that there was a trend for more remote work and working from home. I think that in 2015, there was a study that said 35% of people that they would like to be working from home at least a couple of days a week. So the trend was there. What COVID did, COVID removed the workers as well from the office. So, and when you don't see the work, when you don't see the workers, what do? You lead. You lead through creating the vision, you lead through setting goals, and you lead through providing feedback and then letting go. So letting go of control. And those leaders who understood that were quite effective in COVID. Now, those leaders who didn't get it, they had problems. And I call this the lazy management problem.
Okay.
It's a lazy manager who doesn't have one-on-ones, a lazy manager who doesn't set objectives and provide feedback. It's a lazy management who doesn't take time to get the team together and discuss where the team goes, why the team exists. So the vision, the purpose, the mission, because that's what unites, that's what motivates. And those types of managers, well, they weren't doing that even when everyone was in the office. And I heard so many examples of managers leading teams, and leading is the wrong word here. So managers having the hierarchical authority over other people who didn't take time to build the team, who didn't take time to grow people. And I think that what COVID did, COVID just brought that into relief and signaled that, hey, it's possible. There was a fascinating study of virtual teams, around 80 teams dispersed at a large company. It was a high-tech company. And they looked at the impact of team dispersion. That is, we're collocated next to each other, our desks are here, or I'm located on a different continent. And what they found that, well, in general, the further away you are from your colleagues, the performance decreases, team effectiveness decreases, it goes down. However, that only happens if there are no set processes and structures in the team. When there are strong processes, that is, we are aligned around what we want to achieve, how we do that, how we communicate with each other, what tools we're using, where we store our documents, and how we meet, there was absolutely no significant differences between if we are located next to each other or we live in different countries. And that takes time, that takes management, that takes leadership to put all of that in place and make sure that it is maintained. So why don't we look at this as a challenge and an opportunity to upgrade the levels of leadership? And I'm pretty sure that it's already a warning bell for many leaders that, hey, chances are we're not going back to exactly how things were. So let's get back to the classroom. Let's get back to experimentation. Let's get back to trying new ways of working and leading people.
Couldn't agree more. And I love your label of the lazy manager. You ought to copyright that.
It's not my. It's not. I can't take ownership of that. No, not mine. I heard it somewhere. I don't remember who said it first exactly. I want to give credit where credit is due, and it's not here.
This is the elevation of the lazy manager. That's our challenge and opportunity.
Hi, this is Ed, and I thank you for tuning in to Global TV Talk Show, a unit on globalbusinessnews.net. We broadcast to the world, as you know by now. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that our programs are advertising supported. We're grateful for co-sponsors, advertisers. They have a marketing budget coupled with a strong desire to be associated with our top quality program. And of course, I'm grateful. Thank you. So for the next few minutes, you're going to see some commercials. It's mostly very low key, and our prices are very, very reasonable. Our exposure for the advertisers go 12 months and beyond. Some of our advertisers have been with us since March, April of 2020. And Google Analytics has tracked over 125,000 what they call audience page views, which means you looking at this page, that's a page view. Now, if you happen to go to one of our other shows or to our radio broadcasts or to our newspaper or magazine, those become additional page views as measured by Google Analytics. And so when they say 125,000 since spring of 2020 up through Labor Day, a month ago, that's pretty good numbers. And the past 30 days, Google Analytics has measured just under 6,000 audience page views. And that, according to them, is a 42% increase in audience participation over the month of August. So thank you very much. Well, here's our advertisers, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes or so, and we'll proceed with this interesting conversation. Thank you.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Hi, I'm Sergey Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on Ed's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
So,
And I interrupted you earlier.
no, I forgot what I was going to say. So, so Sergey, if I may do a backward flip for a second here. In your PhD on branding and personal branding, how do you see that in today's remote work and people that are working remotely and they're trying to not become a peacock or a shining light, but also how do they communicate that effectively? It's more than just doing a good job. It's communicating about themselves in some way that isn't offensive.
There is nothing wrong with peacocks. CNBC has one for logo.
Right, a long time.
Peacocks are fascinating creatures. You know, they have this enormous tail that is very heavy. And if attacked, the male peacock will have a harder time to escape the predator. Why? Because the tail is a handicap. So you would think, why would evolution let this bird keep its tail? Because in evolution, typically, if something is a disadvantage to you, through genetic mutations, it should wean out those features that are maladaptive. So what is it? And the hypotheses are that by having those huge, elaborate, beautiful tails, the males signal their health and strength. So it's because I'm so healthy and because I'm so strong, I can have the advantage, this handicap. I can afford having this handicap. And that attracts the best female that might signal to other birds or predators that, hey, don't think of chasing me because I'm strong and healthy. We see the same behavior in antelopes. So many antelopes and gazelles, they engage in behavior that is called stotting. And when a gazelle stots, it jumps up in the air 2 or 3 meters. So when it spots a predator, it makes this huge jump that expends an enormous amount of energy. And you would think, well, why would it do that? And previously, biologists thought that, well, the gazelle alerts all other gazelles around that, hey, it's a warning sign. So it was your good citizenship behavior. It was altruistic. Well, right now, we already know, and we believe that stotting is a signal to the predator saying, hey, if you want to eat someone, eat anyone else from the herd, not me, because I'm strong, I'll run away. You won't catch me. Why am I telling all this fascinating story about animals? Because as a personal brander, you need to signal to the wider environment, you need to signal to your target audience that you are able to create value for them, that they need you, not vice versa, even though it may not be true. And you need to send a signal that's costly, right? A really costly signal that you know that your competitors in the labor market won't be able to. So if you can invest, if you can get into Harvard, well, not everyone gets to Harvard. If you can get to IE, it's going to cost you something. You probably need to take some time off work. There is an opportunity cost. So not everyone can afford that. So education, getting education in prestigious institution is a costly signal. Personal websites used to be a costly signal, even 10 years ago. Today, everyone has them. So it's no longer costly. So what is it? Well, having a podcast still, it's getting more democratized, but it's a costly signal because you need to invest time. You need to have good network to invite good guests. So you need to have good ideas or having good network. So people today need to think, how can we brand ourselves? Not just by doing, okay, do this, think about the name, think about the logo, think about your personal brand attributes, but we need to increasingly think, okay, how can I send those costly signals that are difficult to replicate and that are honest? Honest signals.
Yeah, authentic. Yeah.
I would have an issue with the word authentic because, well, I can be an arrogant jerk and that's my authentic self. I wouldn't want to signal that.
Good point.
I would say the best self and signaling qualities that are valued and appreciated by the target audience.
Brilliant. Boy, that's great. I didn't expect this. I'm glad we didn't rehearse. So, so Ken, in terms of the business partner, would you like to discuss? I'm giving you this idea and escaping from this conversation at the same time.
No, it's a fascinating conversation.
So Ken and I have, as I mentioned, are developing, mainly him, getting these cool people from around the world to come and talk about the role of the business partner in the organization and how it's growing. And those are my words, how it's becoming more important, particularly when there's an international assignment management, the role of the business partner to be the intermediary between the stakeholders. Is that something that you'd like to address, Ken?
I'd like to. I'm not sure that we have the time today to get into any details on that, but I guess ever so briefly, I am a believer that the role of the HR business partner, or whatever you want to call it, I know it's becoming a maligned term, so let's talk about the role, not the label. But I think the role is increasingly important, and I think that those who are in the role have been presented with a unique, perhaps generational opportunity because of COVID to demonstrate their value, to be, a useful peacock, and to bring greater value to the line and to the employee populations they support. So I think it's a unique moment in the evolution of the business partner, or whatever you want to call it, role. And I'm just fascinated by the opportunity that we as a profession have because of COVID. It's, during the financial crises, and there have been a couple of them, the CFOs and the people in finance have been in the spotlight to help businesses get through. I think that COVID has presented a similar opportunity for the HR community. And that's what I'm interested in exploring.
Well said. Sergey?
I can't agree more. Let's not squander this opportunity.
Yeah. How to do that?
Got to elevate the game. They need to be better peacocks. I'm going to stay with that metaphor because I think it works. They need to demonstrate their strength, their adaptability, their versatility, the perspective and wisdom they can bring to their business partners. And I think one of the best ways they can do that is by understanding the business at a lay level and having the intellect, the courage, and the willingness to engage with line and ask the right and sometimes hard questions to help the business get to a good place.
And for that, we need to understand where our focus is and what is it that where we can add most value. And very often when I teach or engage with groups of HR professionals, I ask them to build organizational capability. Organizational capability is a product of individual capability and organizational effectiveness. So as an individual, okay, it's about the intellect, the skills, the personality, health, strengths, ethics, everything that belongs to a person. And then organizational characteristics, the systems, the processes, the ability to innovate, openness to the external environment, the culture. So as HR, if you were to distribute 100 points, I'm interested in your opinion, Ken, where do you see HR today? So focus on the individual or the organization. And what do you think the ideal balance should be?
So obviously it varies from enterprise to enterprise. But as I think about both my career and my clients, I would say today we're probably, quite literally at this point in time, I think that there's probably an overbalance to the individual because of COVID. But I think that that's a mistake, actually. I think that we should be focused on how do we help business transform itself to evolve because of COVID and take advantage of the opportunity. So I would rather see it be closer to 70-30 business, because I'm a believer that HR is in the business of making, is helping the business manage the human capital for ultimate business success and effectiveness. That doesn't mean that we have to be mini CFOs, but it means that we have to think about the business first, and how do we leverage the human capital for the business's success. So I'd rather see something closer to 70-30, but that's probably a bit of an outlier opinion.
I think it's a very shrewd and astute observation.
So tell me about your involvement, if any, with IE. Is it still continuing?
Yes, yes, and it's very challenging, of course, to give classes. Being in California, there is a 9-hour difference. So 11 p.m. here in Irvine is 8 a.m. in Madrid. So either I have to stay late, or vice versa. If it's 5 a.m. Here in California, it's 2 p.m. in Madrid, and those are the time slots that I have, because then my workday starts, and I can't disrupt my schedule. It just doesn't work. So that's why I've reduced significantly the number of courses. And I probably would do something once every month, or every 2 months, a class, a master class or something. But I still do maintain that connection that gives me the intellectual stimulus, and I love engaging with people who are hungry for knowledge, who are ambitious, and who want to grow. And it's always a pleasure to share my the little knowledge that I've accumulated over the years on how performance happens and how organizations work. That I'm very passionate about feedback, and feedback is the best lubricant for careers of the ambitious.
And you wrote a book. And you wrote a book about that. Yes.
And we wrote that's right. Fair Talk is the title, if anyone's interested.
Yes, fair talk. So whose job is it to generate the feedback? Is it your job? It's everybody's job, isn't it?
Where the accountability lies with the HR to establish a policy. So in organizations are different, and the policy tells us what good looks like, what is expected of people regarding feedback or regarding any other people practice. And the policy might say that we expect feedback to come from peers, Morningstar, other self-managed organizations or self-managed teams. The policy there and expectation there could be that feedback doesn't come from the manager. So I don't want to give a blanket answer that, hey, it's the manager's role. No, that depends on where you are. That depends on the context. That depends on the culture that you want to create. In general, yes, we say that managers and supervisors, it's their role, it's their responsibility. We expect that they give feedback to others. It's their job. That's why we pay them more. But unless there is consequence-based accountability, as my friend Mark Efron likes to say, if there are no consequences for not giving feedback, and then there are no good consequences, positive consequences for giving feedback, well, you know what, it will be very difficult to convince managers to have those difficult conversations, to spend time, to invest effort and energy. And it will be just that contingent of managers who care, just naturally are good leaders and who want to invest in their people. And talking about HR and coming back to this idea of HR business partner, HR must give feedback to their leader and to the management team. Because of HR business partner, there are, as a CHRO, what do you care about? you care about your leader's success, so you need to make sure that she or he is successful, and you can't do that without knowing how you come across and where your areas of development are. It's the top team. If the top team is broken, everything else will crumble downstream, and the culture. And it's very difficult to get those three right if, as an HR person, you don't give feedback, you don't show by example on how that's done, and holding others accountable to do the same.
Well, I'm learning a lot. Ken, I defer to you.
Oh my gosh, there's no way I could improve or add to what Sergey just said. It resonates so strongly, both from my own point of view and my own experience. One of the words I do like to use, and I think I mentioned it earlier, is it requires courage. And I think that one of the best things that we could do for the profession is to help people build situationally appropriate courage. And you need to be able to, and by that, I mean, you need to be able to read the situation. At what level do I engage? At what level do I provide feedback? Am I direct? Am I subtle? Do I try to lead the leader to his own conclusion or her own conclusion? And it's a rare capability in my experience. And there's such an opportunity for the profession to step up and get better at it. And I think it would make such a huge difference to the success of an enterprise. So I think Sergey has said it beautifully.
Thank you, Ken.
Sergey, thanks for being on the show again. I appreciate your time, and look forward to meeting you in person someday, somewhere we're going to be. It's only 90 minutes away. We'll take the train and shake your hand.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Thank you, Ken, for your time and your kind interest again.
Thank you both. Always great to see you.
All right. Take care and bye-bye. Thanks. This is Global
Bye-bye.
TV signing off. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day and stay safe.